What if everything you've been told about getting older is missing the most important part? For years, many seniors have been encouraged to slow down, accept physical decline, and believe that losing strength, memory, and independence is simply part of aging. But what if the latest scientific research tells a completely different story? What if the people who remain active, mentally sharp, and independent well into their late 70s and 80s are not relying on expensive treatments or miracle supplements, but on a handful of simple daily habits that most people gradually stop practicing? The discoveries you're about to hear could completely change the way you think about growing older. So stay with me, because the most powerful habit of all comes later, and it may be the one that transforms your future. I'm Dr. William, and after spending more than 20 years caring for adults between the ages of 75 and 85, I've noticed a remarkable pattern. The patients who continue driving themselves, caring for their gardens, remembering family birthdays, and living independently all seem to share the same lifestyle habits. These aren't wealthy people with access to exclusive treatments. They're ordinary individuals who consistently do a few simple things every single day. What's even more exciting is that modern research is finally confirming what many experienced physicians have quietly observed for years. One remarkable study conducted by researchers at the Stanford Center on Longevity tracked more than 4,200 adults between the ages of 70 and 90 over a 12-year period. The findings were impossible to ignore. Participants who consistently practiced at least 4 specific daily habits were 61% less likely to experience rapid functional decline. In simple terms, they maintained their independence much longer than those who ignored these habits. That isn't just another health statistic. It's the difference between continuing to enjoy life on your own terms and depending on others for everyday tasks much sooner than necessary. Before we begin counting down these habits, I want to share something that makes this discussion even more important. The number one habit on today's list has almost nothing to do with traditional exercise or healthy eating. In fact, many routine medical appointments never mention it. Yet research from respected institutions, including Johns Hopkins University and the University of Edinburgh, suggests it may be one of the strongest predictors of both physical independence and mental sharpness after the age of 75. That's why I encourage you to stay until the very end, because that final habit could reshape the way you think about healthy aging. Before we continue, I'd love to know something about you. Tell me your age in the comments, whether you're 68, 74, 81, or anywhere in between. Also, share which healthy habit you already practice consistently. I truly enjoy reading your experiences because this community is built around learning from one another as much as from the science itself. Now let's begin with habit number 6. And although it may sound surprisingly simple, the evidence behind it is anything but ordinary. We're talking about drinking water the right way. Most people assume hydration works the same throughout life. But after the age of 75, your body handles fluids very differently. Understanding that change is one of the easiest and most effective ways to protect your health, your balance, your memory, and your independence as you continue getting older. After the age of 75, hydration is no longer as simple as drinking water whenever you feel thirsty. One of the biggest changes that occurs with aging is that your body's natural thirst signal becomes much weaker. In other words, you can already be dehydrated without realizing it. At the same time, your kidneys become less efficient at regulating fluids, losing a significant portion of their filtering ability over the years. As this happens, your blood becomes less effective at carrying oxygen and nutrients throughout the body. Imagine your bloodstream as a delivery network. When there isn't enough fluid, every delivery slows down. Your muscles receive less support, your brain functions less efficiently, and even simple daily activities begin to feel more difficult than they should. Researchers publishing in the European Journal of Nutrition studied more than 3,500 adults over the age of 70 and found that those who consistently consumed around 1.8 liters of water or more each day experienced remarkable health advantages. They had significantly fewer urinary tract infections, improved balance that reduced their chances of falling, and noticeably stronger performance on memory tests. These results are not surprising when you remember that the human brain is made up of roughly 75% water. Even a small drop in hydration can reduce concentration and mental clarity. In older adults, those effects become even more noticeable because the body's natural ability to compensate has already declined. The healthiest seniors rarely wait until they feel thirsty. Instead, they follow a routine. Many begin each morning by drinking a large glass of water before coffee, breakfast, or any other beverage. This simple habit replaces fluids naturally lost overnight through breathing and perspiration. Since older adults typically wake up with a greater fluid deficit than younger people, restoring hydration early in the day provides the body with an important head start. Another useful strategy is drinking a smaller glass of water with every meal and another during the afternoon, creating steady hydration instead of trying to catch up later in the evening. Experts also recommend pairing that first glass of water with a small amount of electrolytes rather than relying on plain water alone. This does not mean consuming large amounts of salt. A small amount of mineral-rich sea salt or an electrolyte tablet can help your body retain the fluid more effectively because aging kidneys become less efficient at maintaining the proper sodium balance. Without enough electrolytes, much of the water you drink simply passes through the body before fully hydrating your cells. I remember an 81-year-old patient named Margaret who constantly complained about afternoon dizziness, mental fog, and feeling as though her thoughts had become unusually slow. After evaluating her health, we discovered she wasn't severely dehydrated. Instead, she was experiencing long-term mild dehydration that had gradually affected both her balance and her thinking. We introduced one simple change: strategic hydration combined with morning electrolytes. Just 6 weeks later, she described the improvement by saying it felt as though someone had wiped clean a dusty window inside her mind. Her energy improved, her balance became steadier, and her afternoon fatigue nearly disappeared. Now let's move to habit number 5, because staying hydrated is only the beginning. If you truly want to remain strong, mobile, and independent throughout your later years, the next habit plays an even bigger role. It isn't about becoming a bodybuilder or spending hours inside a gym. Instead, it's about giving your muscles exactly what they need to continue supporting you for years to come. The biggest misconception I hear from older adults is that resistance training means lifting heavy weights in a crowded gym. That simply isn't true. Resistance-based movement is any activity that asks your muscles to work against force. It could be using resistance bands, lifting light dumbbells, performing wall push-ups, standing up repeatedly from a chair, or even carrying grocery bags with good posture and control. The goal isn't to become stronger than everyone else. The goal is to give your muscles a reason to stay active, because after the age of 75, they begin disappearing much faster if they are not challenged on a regular basis. Scientists describe this process using a term called anabolic resistance. While it may sound complicated, the idea is actually very simple. As we grow older, our muscles become less responsive to both exercise and dietary protein. In other words, your body needs a stronger signal than it did years ago, just to maintain the muscle you already have. This is why activities that felt effortless in your 50s suddenly become much more difficult decades later. It isn't because your muscles have become lazy. It's because they require more consistent stimulation to remain healthy and functional. If that stimulation never comes, the body gradually develops sarcopenia, the age-related loss of muscle mass and strength. According to research from the Mayo Clinic, sarcopenia significantly increases the risk of falls, reduces the ability to perform everyday tasks independently, and is even associated with a shorter lifespan. Losing muscle doesn't only affect physical appearance. It affects your balance, your confidence, your metabolism, and ultimately, your freedom to continue living life on your own terms. The encouraging news is that your muscles remain surprisingly responsive, even in your late 70s and 80s. Researchers at Tufts University followed adults between 75 and 85 who performed resistance exercises only 2 or 3 times each week. After just 10 weeks, participants experienced substantial improvements in leg strength and balance. Even more impressive, their insulin sensitivity improved as well, helping the body produce energy more efficiently while lowering inflammation. Deep inside each muscle cell are tiny structures called mitochondria, often described as the body's energy factories. Resistance exercise helps these structures function more effectively, meaning you're strengthening far more than just your muscles. You're improving the energy system that supports your entire body. The routine doesn't need to be complicated. 2 or 3 sessions each week lasting 20 to 30 minutes are enough to make a meaningful difference. Focus on large muscle groups like the legs, hips, and back because these muscles play the biggest role in walking, climbing stairs, maintaining posture, and preventing dangerous falls. Resistance bands are especially useful because they place less stress on aging joints while still providing enough challenge to stimulate muscle growth. One additional detail makes this habit even more effective. Try eating 25 to 30 grams of protein within about 30 minutes after finishing your exercise session. As we age, the body has a smaller window during which muscles efficiently absorb protein for repair and rebuilding. Combining resistance training with timely protein intake allows your muscles to recover more effectively and maintain their strength over time. Now we're ready to move to habit number 4, and while many people underestimate its importance, it quietly influences nearly every system inside your body. In fact, poor sleep after the age of 75 affects much more than your energy levels. It can influence memory, immune function, healing, and even the long-term health of your brain in ways that many people never realize. Sleep becomes one of the most powerful health tools after the age of 75, yet it is also one of the most overlooked. Many older adults assume that waking up several times during the night or sleeping only a few hours is simply a normal part of aging. While some changes are expected, consistently poor sleep should never be accepted as harmless. As the years pass, your body's internal clock gradually weakens. Melatonin production falls significantly, making it harder to fall asleep naturally, while the amount of deep restorative sleep decreases dramatically compared with younger adulthood. Unfortunately, deep sleep is exactly when your body performs much of its repair work. During this stage of sleep, important hormones are released that help maintain muscle tissue, strengthen the immune system, and repair damaged cells throughout the body. When deep sleep becomes shorter or more fragmented, these natural repair processes also become less effective. But the consequences extend far beyond feeling tired the next morning. Researchers at the University of California, Berkeley, found that adults over 70 with long-term sleep disruption showed much greater accumulation of amyloid plaques inside the brain. These protein deposits have been strongly associated with the development of Alzheimer's disease and other forms of cognitive decline. The older adults who maintain excellent health are not necessarily the ones sleeping the longest. Instead, they are usually the ones sleeping on a consistent schedule. They go to bed at nearly the same time every night and wake up at a regular hour every morning, even on weekends. This routine helps reinforce the body's natural biological rhythm, making it easier to enter the deeper stages of sleep that become increasingly valuable with age. Another important habit is keeping the bedroom cool, generally between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit. Since the body's ability to regulate temperature declines over time, a cooler sleeping environment encourages deeper, more refreshing rest. Reducing screen time before bed also plays an important role. It's not only the blue light from phones, tablets, or televisions that creates problems. The mental stimulation from scrolling through news, social media, or exciting programs keeps the brain active when it should be preparing to rest. Research from Harvard Medical School suggests this stimulation can delay sleep significantly in older adults, making it much harder to reach the deep restorative stages your brain depends on each night. One additional habit can improve sleep even further. Spending just 10 minutes practicing slow diaphragmatic breathing before bedtime activates the parasympathetic nervous system, often called the body's rest and repair mode. Studies show this simple breathing technique lowers stress hormone levels, helping many older adults fall asleep more easily and remain asleep longer throughout the night. Now we arrive at habit number 3, and this is one of the areas where I see the greatest misunderstanding. Many seniors have been told that eating less protein is healthier as they age. In reality, modern research points in the opposite direction. Because of the anabolic resistance we discussed earlier, aging muscles actually require more dietary protein to maintain their strength and function than they did decades ago. Unfortunately, appetite often decreases with age, leading many people to replace protein-rich meals with foods that are easier to prepare but far less effective at preserving muscle. That seemingly small dietary change can gradually reduce strength, weaken immunity, increase the risk of falls, and make everyday independence much harder to maintain as the years continue to pass. Research published in the American Journal of Clinical Nutrition followed more than 2,700 adults between the ages of 70 and 85 and reached a powerful conclusion. Those who consumed enough protein each day, while spreading it evenly across 3 meals, maintained greater muscle mass, experienced fewer fall-related hospitalizations, and developed stronger immune responses against common illnesses such as influenza and pneumonia. Think of protein as the building material your body depends on every single night. While you sleep, damaged tissue is removed and replaced with new tissue. Without enough high-quality protein, those repairs become incomplete. Over months and years, the effects quietly add up until simple activities like climbing stairs, carrying groceries, or getting out of a chair become increasingly difficult. The most practical approach is surprisingly simple. Aim for roughly 25 to 35 grams of protein at breakfast, lunch, and dinner instead of eating most of it in one large evening meal. Good choices include chicken, fish, eggs, Greek yogurt, beans, and other lean protein sources. Aging muscles can only use a limited amount of protein efficiently during each meal, so distributing it throughout the day allows your body to make the best possible use of every gram you eat. Pairing protein with foods rich in vitamin C, such as citrus fruits, bell peppers, or tomatoes, also supports collagen production, helping maintain healthy joints, connective tissue, and skin alongside stronger muscles. One of my patients, James, was 78 when his daughter became concerned after noticing that he had lost nearly 20 pounds. Another physician had reassured him that it was simply part of getting older, but a closer evaluation showed he wasn't losing fat. He was losing muscle. His grip strength had dropped dramatically, placing him among the weakest individuals in his age group. We reorganized his meals so that each contained enough high-quality protein. Just 3 months later, he had regained lean muscle, dramatically improved his grip strength, and proudly told me he was once again carrying all of his groceries into the house without asking anyone for help. Now let's move to the second habit, and this one surprises almost everyone because it doesn't involve food, medication, or exercise. It involves human connection. Decades of research have shown that meaningful social interaction is one of the strongest predictors of healthy aging. Large studies involving hundreds of thousands of adults have found that chronic loneliness carries a health risk comparable to smoking heavily every day. Older adults who remain socially isolated face higher rates of cognitive decline, dementia, inflammation, and even early death. The reason is biological. Genuine conversation, shared laughter, emotional support, and active relationships stimulate brain regions responsible for memory, decision-making, and emotional health while reducing harmful stress hormones. Finally, we arrive at the number one habit, challenging your brain every single day by learning something genuinely new. Reading the newspaper or completing the same crossword puzzle is helpful, but true cognitive growth comes from stepping outside your comfort zone, learning a language, playing a musical instrument, painting, cooking unfamiliar recipes, or mastering any completely new skill forces the brain to build fresh neural connections. Studies have shown that older adults who continue learning throughout life maintain better memory, slower brain aging, and a lower risk of dementia than those who stop challenging themselves mentally. The message behind these 6 habits is simple. Growing older does not automatically mean giving up your independence. Strategic hydration, regular resistance exercise, consistent sleep, balanced protein intake, meaningful relationships, and lifelong learning work together to support both body and mind. If this video helped you see aging from a new perspective, subscribe to the channel, turn on notifications, and share this video with someone you care about. Leave a comment below with your age and tell us which of these 6 habits you plan to strengthen first. Your journey can inspire someone else to begin theirs today.